I'm from a little town called Brewarrina. Brewarrina is in northwestern New South Wales. Brewarrina is where the Darling River starts. We live on one of the third biggest river in Australia. What is happening to our rivers? What is happening to our waterways? It's a sad story, and I want to tell you about that. I want to talk about a river that runs through 4 states, starts in Queensland, runs through New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia. Why over the last 10 or 15 years our rivers have been completely empty? Why has it been empty? I will explain that. But I want to tell a story about my mother. My mother is now in her 90s. She lives in a little place called Lingonia. We don't know her exact age because Mum was born under an old tree on the edge of the desert. She hasn't got a birth certificate, but we calculate her to be in her late 90s. Mum's strong, she's healthy, she's still got her memories, she still fish, she still hunts, she still do all those things. Why? We believe that when she was young, she walked the land. She walked the land and she lived off the natural food that was from our environment. The bush tucker. She knew bush medicine. She knew how to survive in the bush or out there on the land. Mum walked a lot when she was young. She had to walk because when she was young, she had to walk to marry my dad. She had to walk about 400 kilometres, and that was law. Our people had to marry outside of their nation. We weren't allowed to marry within our nation because we were related. So Mum had to walk 400 kilometres to Dad's nation, which is Murrawari. She went over 4 rivers. What rivers? She walked from the Paroo, through the Cutterburra, through the Warrego and through the Culgo River. Over the last 10 or 15 years, I said those rivers now completely empty. What has happened? 40% of my people live along the river system, live along the Murray-Darling. The Darling is now called the Barker. It's an Aboriginal word for the river. My people relied on the river for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Why is the river so important? Why is our environment so important? People, we're here because we care about our land. We care about the planet we live on. I said in a speech the other day, there's no plan B. There's nowhere else that we can go. My First Nation people are now feeling the brunt of what is happening to our environment, the changing of the climate, the destruction of our lands and our waterways. My people are now suffering because of that destruction. Over the last Christmas break, I was out at Brewarrina. There was no water in the river. And I said to my children, how do we bring back the 50-year-old cods? How do we bring back the long-necked turtle? How do we bring back the yellow bellies? The aquatic life, the ecosystem and the wildlife that depended on that river. The river is life, water is life, the water feeds the land, makes the environment grow, it helps with the animals and the wildlife. People, we need to wake up. Why are we destroying our lands? Why are we destroying this planet we live on? Why are we cutting down our trees when our trees give us oxygen? Why are we destroying the river, the water that runs through our bloodline, that my people have relied on for tens of thousands of years? Now it's completely dead. Those animals are now extinct. We've got a lot of work to do. While the rivers are dead, our people are dying. When we've got a sick river, we've got a sick environment and a sick community. When we've got a dead river, we've got a dead community. I was out at Brewarrina during the Christmas break. I helped organise truckloads of water into that community. My community were drinking stagnant pools of water. That's where their water was coming from. The water was unacceptable. Why are we drinking these water? That's not healthy. That's not good for us. Where is our rights to clean drinking water? Where is First Nations rights to the water, the river, and the land and the environment? My First Nation are feeling the brunt of what is happening here in this country. They're feeling the brunt of what's happening right across this world. First Nation people are feeling the brunt. When the water disappears, we disappear. Our people need water. Those are now on dialysis need water to clean their dialysis machine. My people are suffering from diseases and sickness. There's an higher rate of suicides. My people are now leaving their traditional lands that their ancestors have been on for thousands of years. I don't want to leave my traditional lands. That's where my people have been connected. We believe that we were created at the beginning of time. We had a system that sustained their environment. We had a totem system that made sure that no living creature would come extinct. My father's totem is the kangaroo. We weren't allowed to kill the kangaroo, we weren't allowed to eat the kangaroo. That was our responsibility. Every nation, 500 different nations right across Australia had a totem. Each clan group and each individual had a totem. So everyone has a responsibility to keep that living thing alive. What is happening over the last 250 years? Look at the destruction. Look at the raping of the land. Look what mining's doing to our country. Look what fracking have done to our country. Look on the western side of the Great Divide, the clearing of the land. The clearing of the land. People, we've got to put nature back the way it was. We need to start the process now. There's lots of things that we can do. First thing, we need to put back the Mother Nature the way it was, put the trees back. The trees that keep the moisture in the soil, the trees that gives us oxygen, the trees that help the rain, the natural water cycle to happen. If we don't put the trees back on the western side of the Great Divide, there will be no rain to my country. There will be no rain to the country. Farmers need to stop clearing the land. We need to start putting those things back the way it was. How do I tell my children or take my children to the river and tell them about the river when they can't see it physically? How do I pass down my knowledge and my Dreamtime story to my children and their grandchildren when they can't see it physically, when everything's dead? People, at the end of the day, we're cutting our own throats. Mother Nature is so important. Mother Earth is so important. Mother Earth was here before we was created, and Mother Earth will be here when we go. But it's about protecting Mother Earth. Let us become protectors of our environment. First Nation people were the great conservationists in the world. But look what we've seen over the last 230 years. People, it's not about any individual anymore. It's not about any particular group. This is about us. This is about us, our survival. An old elder said to me, the land we live on has only been borrowed from my children. The land we live on has only been borrowed from our children. How do we give that back to our children and their children's children? Not in the condition it is today. So we've got to work hard to do something. We've got to change the system. We've got to influence our governments, the leader that's our leaders out there that are not doing too well, that are not helping us to look after our environment. I believe there's a movement right across this world that no one's going to stop. I believe that this is going to be a grassroots movement from the bottom. You and I, people, ordinary people, are going to change the system and the things that we are now. I believe that 2020 is the year. I believe that 2020 is the year of change. 2020 is the now. It is us that's going to make a difference. So let's look around. All those things that are affecting us. The drought, floods, the rain, the bushfires. First Nation people have lived through it. But it's our turn to fix it. It's our turn.